Here we go for another episode of The Secret Life of Entrepreneurs. Today's guest has a very unique story to tell. She wants to talk with us about something so many families are experiencing, and yet there is a better way. Our guest today is Kim Korven, owner of the Gentle Way Divorce. And she's going to talk about how families are able to move forward more quickly and feel at peace when a divorce does happen in families. But equally important, or maybe more important, at least to some families, is she's helping them save money. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Barb. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So tell me a little bit about the Gentle Way Divorce, because that's certainly, usually you don't put those two words together. Gentle and divorce, you don't hear those two words together too often.
No, this is true. I was a family law lawyer who saw I practiced traditional divorce. I had seen the horror.
Yes. That, you know what, that's a good word. I know so many family and friends and colleagues, and you hear the aftermath of divorce. And I suppose it's that fine line between love and hate, or love and despise, right? There's still passion there. So tell me, like, how are you helping families through that?
Well, it began with me, and I was terrified of divorce, but I was unhappy in my marriage. And I was going to stay married, because this is what you do. Because I was afraid. And when you're at that stage, you have like zero self-esteem and you feel like a failure, and you just, right? It's this gray reality and you can't talk to anybody. But I got to a point where I realized staying married was harming my kids.
Yeah.
I knew I had to do something, but there was no way I was going to subject my kids to what I had seen my clients experience.
Yeah,
so
that makes perfect sense to me.
So I had to figure out a different way. And it all began from this knowledge that kids love their parents no matter what. And I'd learned that doing child protection work.
Okay.
Where you think parents have done these horrendous things, the kids aren't going to want to have anything to do with them. Wrong.
Yep. They're still their parents. They're still loyal. They're still attached. It doesn't matter what they've done.
Exactly. So I knew that was the reality, and I wanted my children to have the best relationship possible with their dad. They didn't have it when we were together.
Okay.
So that was the guiding principle, that they would have the best relationship possible with him. And everything, it was just kind of instinctive from there.
Right.
Now, people who knew both of us would say, "How are you doing this, Kim?" And I'd say, "It's nothing. Anybody can do this."
Oh, wow. Okay. So I have never been divorced and I have no intention of getting divorced, but even I know not everybody can do that.
And it was actually one of my cousins was involved in a really ugly traditional divorce battle.
Okay.
And he ended up walking off the face of the earth.
No. Oh, that's terrible. Oh,
That
no.
That was when I realized not everyone can do this.
And
I started then reflecting on how did I do it?
Yeah.
Because at the time I was just one foot in front of the other. I mean, I felt like a failure, and it was just, I had no concept. So it took quite a bit of reflection before I put it together. And even once I did, and it started working with a few people, I still didn't have the Gentle Way Divorce name.
Okay.
And I realized maybe 3 years ago, like, my background is judo, and I used to be very competitive. Oh yeah, very competitive.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Okay.
Now, judo it's a martial art, it has two main principles. The principles are, the first one is maximum efficiency with minimum effort.
Okay.
And the second one is mutual welfare and benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And judo, when you translate it into English, means the gentle way.
Ah,
And I
okay.
realized, like, I started practicing judo when I was 9, and it was the biggest part of my life till I was 17,
Mm-hmm.
formative years.
Okay.
And I realized it's those principles underscore everything I do and
Yeah.
underscore the approach I took in my divorce.
Okay.
Because it was all about the mutual welfare and benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that in divorce, either the whole family wins or the whole family loses.
Yes, exactly. And do you find when you're working with clients, or okay, maybe I should back up a step. So the gentle way divorce, is it really just or is that really just the name of your law practice, or are you doing something different other than practicing law?
I gave up my legal practice.
Okay.
And I started doing this differently outside of being a lawyer last October.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a trained mediator as well, and I've got training in negotiation and all of those good kind of softer resolution skills.
Okay.
Um, so I do mediation work, but I also do consulting work with one spouse, like behind the
Okay.
scenes,
Mm-hmm.
helping with strategy, helping to keep things on an even keel,
Right.
helping them really be able to communicate
Mm-hmm.
is really what I do. And I've had clients who, they come to me, do I have to want to get divorced to work with you? And I'm like, no.
Well, and that was my assumption. My assumption was that you're working with couples once they've decided to divorce, right? And so, okay, so as a mediator, if one spouse comes to you to help improve communication because the relationship is breaking down, or one spouse isn't interested in working with you, they really want the conflict, because lots of times when we're hurt, the conflict is part of what helps us get through something, or we feel like, okay, we have to have conflict because we have to get this other person back. So tell me about that. How do you help families get through that really stressful period?
Well, it's interesting. We live in a world where we reduce everything to white and black, or married or divorced,
Yes.
which is why I have the word divorce in what I do, because people
Hmm.
are looking for divorce. They think that's the only option. And,
Okay.
and often we think conflict is the only option.
Hmm.
The reality is, if you can have a really heartfelt conversation, it can change everything.
Okay.
Okay? So, and I learned that when I started my legal practice. I represented 4 men in a litigation matter on an appeal.
Okay.
It was an administrative issue. And appeals are really, really difficult to win. There's just a very narrow,
Hmm.
they're
Yeah.
really difficult. So the appeal was not successful. They had represented themselves at the hearing,
Hmm.
and, and 3 of them paid. They'd each agreed, it was a set fee. They each agreed to pay me the same amount of money. The
Okay.
4th one refused to pay. There was
Because the appeal
lost.
lost,
Yeah.
or okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I was thinking, I knew he owned a vintage car that he was very proud of. And I was very litigious. I was like, oh, I want to sue him. I want to seize his car. And it was not a lot of money, but I was very litigious, and
Absolutely.
I was going to make him pay.
Hmm.
But I knew the partners would not approve of this kind of an atom bomb
Yeah.
approach.
Yes. Well, and then you assure yourself that there's no future business there either once the relationship is torn down, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what ended up happening, quite by chance, was we were approaching Christmas, and I was allowed to send firm Christmas cards to anybody I wanted on my client list.
Okay.
And I had a really short client list. This was just when I'd started practicing. And I wanted to send Christmas cards to the other three.
But not him.
I didn't want to send to him. And I thought, no, I have to include him.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent a firm Christmas card to him.
Okay.
And a few weeks later, the receptionist buzzed me on my phone and said, Kim, you have to come to the front. Okay. So I go to to reception, and this gentleman was there. And he was there. Yes, he was there with his checkbook. And he talked to me and he said, I was a real jerk to you, Kim, and you sent me a Christmas card. No lawyer has ever sent me a Christmas card before. I am so sorry I treated you like a jerk.
Wow.
Right? He paid. And what I learned from that is when you do the right thing
Mm-hmm.
and you're completely genuine and you have there's no ulterior motive, these really wonderful things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same approach I take with getting the clients I work with to communicating with their spouse.
Yeah.
So I had one client where he'd already been to see, they're in the States, had been to see a divorce attorney.
Okay.
And they chatted, and she said to me afterwards, Kim, and she's not touchy-feely or woo-woo. This is like your superpower. We haven't talked like that in years.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I love that term. I think we all have a superpower, and half of the reason that we, go through life the way we do is to find that superpower. And once you find it, like the heavens part, the sun shines through, right? I love that phrase. I love that phrase. Now I have to ask you something. You just had a drink of coffee, and it looks like you have a chip in the side of your mug. So is that one of your favorites?
Well, it's a Mel Bolan mug, right, from Humboldt. But and usually when I chip a mug, I throw it out. And this one I kept because it's beautiful. But the other thing is, we tend to think we need perfection in everything.
Yeah.
Complete perfection. And that's the image we show the world.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, it's these little kind of chips that make things interesting.
Yes.
And that's in us too. They exist, right? They exist in us. And it's just it's actually, there's a chip out of it, but it's whole and it still functions and it's still beautiful. And that's the same with you and the same with me and the same with my clients.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great analogy because we've all got these public personas now where when we share a picture on Facebook, it tends to be the best picture we just took off the roll, or it's the best picture of our kids because they're actually getting along for these 7 seconds, right? None of us put our dirty laundry up on Facebook. And in fact, when we do, sometimes you kind of get a hard time about that too. So, we've got these public personas, and, when I do the video for the show, my hair's usually done, and I'm like, forget it. It's a Tuesday morning after the long weekend. I'm putting my hat on, like I am good to go.
And I put on lipstick and mascara today. I haven't done that in a long time.
Probably 8 weeks since we're just coming out of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you were, camping this last weekend, and camping, if you change your clothes, you're doing good.
Well, camping in my driveway, come on.
Exactly. Oh,
I needed a change.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of the other thing I help people with is honoring who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And helping them figure out what they really, really desire.
Okay. Yep.
In a way that's respectful. And so there's me, I was getting antsy with my second husband and my 2 kids and all the pets. And so I announced to my family a few weeks ago, we are going camping on the long weekend in the driveway. And they know me, so it's like, okay. And my daughter is like, I hate camping. I am not coming camping. I will be the campground manager. She was so excited. This is the first time you trusted me enough to be home alone.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. How old is your daughter?
15.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it funny that you say that? Because just this morning, that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, we're not going away next winter like we normally would. And, maybe by the following year, who knows what kind of travel restrictions there will or there won't be. But I found myself thinking, by the time we can go again, we might be able to go without the kids, depending on how old they are at that point in time. No, the kids are only 11 and going on 23, 13.
Yes,
but
a girl, no doubt.
Exactly. Everybody gets it. But here's the thing. Bless the child's heart. I love her to death. I really do. But she's been 23 since she was 2. So I had a 2-year-old teenager, and then I had a 10-year-old teenager, and now I have a preteen teenage. Like, I've been living in the teen years for like 10 years already. I would hear stories from friends who would be like, "Oh, my teenagers did this." I'm like, "Oh, mine does that all the time, and she's only 3." Right? So I'm like, by the time she does hit the 20s, it has to like burn itself out here at some point, right? I'm counting on it, like fingers crossed. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's go back to the work that you do, because I think that even having a different approach to how families can deal with conflict that's a really new concept, right? It was, we're not getting along, we're going to fight, we're going to divorce, fight over every, spoon and fork. So, like, how do people find you? Because I guarantee that, if people know you exist, there'll be a lineup. But then B, like, tell me about that process, that approach that you go through with clients.
Well, a lot of people, I think, are so stuck in feeling like a failure. They don't believe this is possible. They believe it has to be conflict.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And so those people don't find me. And there's a lot of people who want to blame their spouse for everything. We're not a good fit.
Okay.
Okay. Because this is really about, you have to take some responsibility, like even to say it's over, and to be able to really put your kids first. Most of my people come from referrals.
Okay.
People who know me, or people, like, even when I was a lawyer, I would say to my clients, do you want to have money? Do you want to pay me, or do you want to have money for your kids?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a tough thing to think about, because you hear the stories about, how much a divorce costs, and it's just like, whoa. Okay, first of all, you're fighting over the money, and now, you're going to have those kind of bills to pay. It's huge.
Well,
right?
and so in terms of people finding me, like Gentle Way Divorce, you can book a free consult.
Okay.
Because I do a free 20 to 30 minute consult. I also, if people just have like a one-off kind of issue,
okay,
I'll do a one-off, and it might take me 5 minutes, and it's the same rate as if it takes me 45 minutes talking with you.
Okay.
And a lot of it is common sense, and I don't. It's been a struggle for me to get the word out, because as a lawyer, you wait for people to come to you.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like you can go knock on doors and
no. So this is all new, this whole marketing thing. It's like, what the heck? And if people want to get a sense of me, I have some videos on my Facebook page, Gentle Way Divorce.
Okay.
Or I have started a private Facebook group called Family Peace, the Family Peace Project.
Yes, I did see that. You're right.
Because, like, I had some women saying to me, I want to join, but I can't, because my husband then will think I'm thinking of divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you could have a really great conversation about that. But I understand I couldn't have had that conversation with my first husband. The other thing is, I'm actually committed to family peace.
Okay.
So I work sometimes with intergenerational.
Yeah, I
right?
suppose, hey, I never thought about that aspect.
Right? Like the businesses, farms, because it's the same issues. And
Yeah.
really, like conflict is inevitable, and we're not trained in how to deal with conflict.
Mhm.
And what happens with divorce, for example, so we're not talking, we think divorce is the only avenue.
Yeah.
And and with the legal system, you don't take responsibility for anything that's gone wrong,
Mhm.
because that can be used against you.
Right.
Okay, that's the model, in the litigation stream,
Mhm.
in
Okay.
traditional. So if you're not taking any responsibility and you're saying the other person is at fault, or we have no fault divorce, but let's say in terms of where the children live,
Mhm.
so you're saying how wonderful you are and how horrible this other person is as a parent.
Right.
Well, that is gasoline on the bonfire.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so people end up, there was a research study done a few years ago at the Canadian Forum of Family Justice.
Okay.
And the average cost of divorce, high conflict in Canada, that litigation model is $53,000 each. Each.
Wow.
And in that study, the most somebody paid was $625,000.
Like retirement wiped out.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
there's no chance of Disneyland or a tropical vacation for a number of years.
No,
And
not
even
for your typical family. And you wonder, okay, in a case like that, was it a family that, had a significant amount of money and that's what caused so much of the conflict? You hope so. Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's like holy cow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even on average, the high conflict, the couples who start with mediation and then you have to go to lawyers, was about $28,000 each.
Oh wow. Okay. Whew.
Whereas if it's just mediation, it's about $6,000 each.
Oh, significantly different. Wow, that's less than a quarter. And
Mm-hmm.
I would think, and this is where you can lend your expertise, I would think it's also quicker.
It is, because that high conflict litigation stream takes on average about 28 months.
Okay. Yeah, so a couple of years.
And I mean, like, I was a collaborative lawyer too, so I know that
Mhm.
process. But I like being able to focus, like lawyers, the job is to focus on legal issues.
Yes.
And legal issues are life issues.
Mhm.
And people are stressed, and dealing with lawyers is not a fun thing.
No, that just adds to the stress.
Yeah. And so it's like, let's help people demystify and take divorce off the pedestal.
Mhm.
Because, like in the I haven't been able to track accurately the studies, the stats on divorce in Canada. In the
Okay.
States, it's close to 50% of all marriages end in divorce. It
Mhm.
isn't. It isn't a one-off anymore.
Yeah.
It's really a fact of life
Yes.
for many families. So
And it's a business driver and a business engine, right? I mean, divorce is keeping a lot of lawyers in business and paying, their mortgages and their car payments. So they're not
you said
interested in solving it.
you said that. I did
Right.
not. Right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it's the whole. It's a 19th century profession,
Hmm.
and that the profession came into existence in a time when the intellect was seen as much more valuable than the heart.
Hmm.
So it's a particular model, and it works, and it can be very effective.
Yeah.
But people need to know, like, it's kind of the only transaction you can be involved in where you don't know what the outcome will be, and you
Yeah.
don't know what the cost will be when you
Hmm.
enter the contract.
Exactly. But do you find that, okay, if X has happened in your relationship, you are more or less likely to be able to mediate and resolve, or if Y has happened in the relationship, then you're more likely to be able to resolve through mediation? Like, do you find that there's certain issues that you see a lot of success around mediation, where, you know, there's other issues that when that turns out to be the issue, you have a pretty good sense that it's just not going to work?
People surprise me.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And really, if I really help people focus on their children
Okay.
at a really, not a superficial level, but really in terms of who are their kids
Mm-hmm.
and what do they need, and it's a different approach. So
Yeah.
the more traditional kind of, mental illness, it won't work.
Right.
Well, it works. Infidelity, it won't work. Well,
Right.
it can work.
It can. Okay.
The real the more challenging area
Mm-hmm.
is more it's coercive. If there's coercive control
Ah,
in
okay.
the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
there's a growing body of research on coercive control as being the predicator of significant spousal violence, as in murder.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
And coercive control, of course, is you can't wear this.
Mm-hmm.
You're stupid. Here's what you must eat, because you're
Mm-hmm.
fat. If you're 5 minutes late coming back from the bank, you're having an affair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Kim, I wish I had asked you this question earlier. We actually only have about 30 seconds left till we're out of time. But wow, just before we do wrap up, can I get you to share all of your contact details with our listeners? And yeah, then I would encourage anyone who wants or needs to learn more, because that course of piece is huge.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple of guests on the show specifically related to domestic violence. And so, yeah, I wish I'd asked you that question a little bit earlier. But give us your contact details and then I will wrap us up.
Okay, so it's there on the screen, gentlewaydivorce.com. The email is kim@gentlewaydivorce.com. The Facebook group, the Family Peace Project, or like Gentle Way Divorce. There's a Facebook page. And I think that's about good. And you can have me back, Barb. I won't say no.
There we go. Yes, we can continue our conversation. That would be awesome. All right, that's it for us today, folks. If you'd like to be a guest, you can email me at barb@googlegirl.ca or reach out on Facebook or Instagram at abovethefoldca. Just a reminder, you can even submit questions in advance of our live show on our Facebook page. I'm your host, Barb McGrath, local business owner and Google Girl. Remember, you worked hard for your success. Don't keep it a secret. Bye for now.